So good morning. I probably won't be here long because I have family here and a game that starts at 1. Woo! Go birds. Okay. So we ended in Genesis chapter 2 when Abram went to Egypt. Now we're in chapter 13. So Abram went up from Egypt to Negev with his wife and everything he had, and Lot went with him. Abram had very wealthy in livestock and in silver and gold. From Negev he went from place to place until he came to Bethel, to the place between Bethel and Ai, where his, I don't know if that's Ae or Ai, if you can correct me in the comments, because it's pronounced Ai. Or not pronounced, sorry. It's spelled Ai. That's just a weird with AI right now. Anyways, weird thoughts. To the place between Bethel and Ai where his tent had been earlier, and where he had first built an altar. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. Now Lot, who was moving about with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, but the land could not support them. So could not support them while they stayed together, for the possessions were so great that they were not able to stay together. Sorry, I'm getting it together this morning. I was in a nursery at church, and I'm just trying to get a quick read in before I start the game. Now, Lot, who was moving with Abram, also had a flocks and herds and tents, but the land could not support them while they stayed together, for their possessions were so great that they were not able to stay together, and quarreling arose between Abram's herders and Lot's. The Canaanites and the Perizzites were also living in the land at the time. So Abram said to Lot, "Let's not have any quarreling between you and me, or between your herders and mine, for we are close relatives. Is not the whole land before you? Let's part company. And if you go to the left, I'll go to the right. And if you go to the right, I'll go to the left." Lot looked around and saw that the whole plain of the Jordan towards Zoar was well watered, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose for himself the whole plain of the Jordan and set out towards the east. The two men parted company, and Abram lived in the land of Canaan, while Lot lived among the cities of the plain and pitched his tents near Sodom. Now the Lord of the people of Sodom were wicked, and were sinning greatly against the Lord. The Lord said to Abram, after Lot had parted from him, "Look around from where you are to the north and south, to the east and west. All the land that you see I will give to you and your offspring forever. I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone could count the dust, then your offspring could be counted. Go walk through the length and the breadth of the land, for I am giving it to you." So Abram went to live near the great trees of Mamre and Hebron, where he pitched his tents. There he built an altar for the Lord. Genesis 14. Abram rescues Lot. Actually, let me back up. Sorry, I forgot to read the inserts. In 13:1-2, in Abram's day, sheep and cattle owners could acquire great wealth. Abram's wealth not only included silver and gold, but also livestock. These animals were a valuable commodity used for food, clothing, and tent material and sacrifices. They were often traded for other goods and services. Abram was able to watch his wealth grow and multiply daily. 13:5 through 9. Facing a potential conflict with his nephew Lot, Abram took the initiative in settling the dispute. He gave Lot first choice, even though Abram, being older, had the right to choose first. Abram also showed a willingness to risk being cheated. Abram's example shows us how to respond to difficult family situations. Take the initiative in resolving conflicts. Let others have first choice, even if it means not getting what we want. Put family peace above personal desires. I think that's really good advice and really powerful. I like that. Surrounding and Genesis 13:7 through 8, surrounding by hostile neighbors and the herders of Abram, Lot should have pulled together. Instead, they let petty jealousy tear them apart. Similar situations exist today. Christians often bicker while Satan is at work all around them. Rivalries, arguments, and disagreements among believers can be destructive in three ways. They damage goodwill and trust, peace, the foundation of good human relations. 2, they hamper progress towards important goals. And 3, they make us self-centered rather than love-centered. Jesus understood how destructive arguments among brothers could be. In his final prayer before being betrayed and arrested, Jesus asked God that his followers be one. Lot's character in 13:10-11 in Genesis is revealed by his choices. He took the best share of land, even if it meant near Sodom, a city known for its sin. He was greedy and wanting the best for himself without thinking about his uncle Abram's needs or what was fair. Life presents a series of choices. We too can choose the best while ignoring the needs and the feelings of others. But this kind of choice, as Lot's life shows, leads to problems. When we stop making choices in God's direction, our only option is to make choices in the wrong direction. In Genesis 13:12, God, pasture, and available water seemed like a wise choice to Lot at first, but he failed to recognize that the wicked in Sodom could provide temptations strong enough to destroy his family. Have you chosen to live or work in Sodom? Even though you may be strong enough to resist temptations, others members of your family may not be. God commented, while God commands us to reach people in the Sodom near us, we must be careful not to become like the very people we are trying to reach. Hello, J Block. So Abram rescues Lot in chapter 14 of Genesis. At the time when Aphral was king of Shinar, Era king of Elasar, Kedalak king of Elam, and Tidal king of Jaam, these kings went to war against Bera king of Sodom, Bersha king of Gomorrah, and Shinab king of Edom, Sheber king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zor. All of these later kings joined forces in the valley of Siddim, that is the Dead Sea Valley. There for 12 years they had been subject to Chedorlaomer, sorry if I'm saying this wrong, but in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Kedorlaomer and the kings allied with him and went out and defeated the Rephites and the Ashdod Carmon and the Zuzites in Ham, the Emites in Shava Karathraim, and the Harats in the hill country of Seir, as far as El Paran near the desert. Then they turned their back and went to En Mishap, that is Kadesh, and they conquered the whole territory of Amalekites, as well as Amorites, who were living in Hazar Tamar. Then the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Adam, the king of Zeboi, and the king of Bela, that is Zor, marched out and drew up their battle lines in the valley of Siddim against Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Gomorrah. Sorry, give me 1 second. My dog busted the door open. Okay, where was I? Okay. Then the king of Sodom and the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, the king of Bela, that is Zor, marched out and drew up their battle lines in the valley of Siddim against Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goyim, Aphral, king of Shinar, and Erar, king of Elasar, 4 kings against 5. Now the valley of Siddim was full of tar pits, and when the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, some of the men fell into them, and the rest fled into the hills. The 4 kings seized all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their foods, then they went away. They also carried off Abram's nephew Lot and his possessions, since he was living in Sodom. A man who had escaped came and reported this to Abram in Hebrew. Now Abram was living near the great trees of Mamre, the Amorite, and the brother of Eshcol and Aner, all of whom were allied in Abram. When Abram heard that his relatives had been taken captive, he called out of the 318 trained men born in his household and went in to pursuit as far as Dan. During the night, Abram divided his men to attack them, and he routed them, pursuing them as far as Hobah north of Damascus. He recovered all goods and brought back his relative Lot and possessions, together with the women of all the other people. With the woman and the other people. In Genesis 17, after Abram returning from defeating Kedorlaomer and the kings allied with him, the king of Sodom came out to meet him in the valley of Shavah, that is the king's valley. In 18, then Melchizedek, king of Salem. I am just so you know, I will totally not be saying half of these words right. I lost my place. Anyways, the 4 kings seized all the goods. I think I read all that. Yes, I did. Okay. So he brought out bread and wine. He was priest of the Most High, and he blessed Abram, saying, Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and praise be to God Most High, who delivered your enemies into your hand. Then Abram gave him 1/10 of everything. In 21 of Genesis, the king of Sodom said to Abram, Give me the people and keep the good for yourself. But Abram, in 22, said to the king of Sodom, With a raised hand I have sworn an oath to the Lord, the God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, that I will accept nothing belonging to you. not even a thread or strap of a sandal, so that you will never able to say, I made Abram rich. I will accept nothing but what my men have eaten and share that belongs to the men who went with me. To Anar, Eshcol, and Mamre, let them have their share. So, let me see if that 14 goes back here. Yes. So 14:4 through 16. Who was Chedorlaomer, and why was he important? In Abram's times, most cities had their own kings. Wars and rivalries among kings were common. A conquered city paid tribute to the victorious king. Nothing is shown about him except that we read in the Bible, but apparently he was quite powerful. 5 cities, including Saddam, had paid tribute to him for 12 years. The 5 cities formed an alliance and rebelled by withholding tribute. Chedorlaomer. Lot's rescue. Having conquered Saddam, Chedorlaomer left for his home country, taking many captives with him. Abram learned what happened and chased Chedorlaomer past Dan and beyond Damascus. There he defeated the king and rescued the captives among the Lot. I wish I knew how, I don't know how to mirror. Is there a way to mirror this? Flip camera? No, you just see my door. Mirror. It's funny. I had mirroring on, but it wasn't working, and I turned it off, and then it was working. I feel like you could see it now. Sure. Anyways, so what I love, camera. It shows maps. So that's the places we were talking about. Real places. Real places. The 5 cities formed an alliance and rebelled without holding tribute. Chedorlaomer reacted swiftly and reconquered them all. When he defeated Saddam, he captured Lot, his family, and possessions. Abram, with only 318 men, 318 men, chased Chedorlaomer's army and attacked him near Damascus. With God's help, he defeated them and recovered Lot, his family, and their possessions. 14:12. Lot's greedy desire for the best of everything led him into sinful surroundings. His burning desire for possessions and success cost him his freedom and enjoyment. As a captive to Chedorlaomer, he faced torture, slavery, or death. In much the same way, we can be enticed to do things that are going places we shouldn't. The prosperity we long for is captivating. It can both be entice us and enslave us if our motives are not in line with God's desire. In Genesis 14:14 through 16, these incidents portray 2 of Abram's characteristics. 1, he had the courage that came from God, facing a powerful foe he attacked. 2, he was prepared. He had taken time to train his men for potential conflict. We never know when we will be called upon a complete difficult task. Like Abram, we should be prepared for those times and take courage from God when they come. In Genesis 14:16, when Abram learned that Lot was a prisoner, he immediately tried to rescue his nephew. It would have been easier and safer not to become involved. But with Lot in serious trouble, Abram acted at once. Sometimes we must get involved into a messy or painful situation in order to help others. We should be willing to act immediately when others need our help. In Genesis 14:18, who is Melchizedek? He is obviously a God-fearing man, for his name means King of Righteousness, and King Salem means King of Peace. He was a priest of God Most High. Hebrews 7:1-2. He recognized God as creator of heaven and earth. What else is known about him? 4 main theories have been suggested. Melchizedek was respected king of that region. Abram was simply showing him the respect he deserved. 2. The name Melchizedek may have been a standing title for all kings of Salem. And 3. Melchizedek was a type of Christ. Hebrews 7:3. A type is an Old Testament even or teaching that is so closely related to what Christ did that it illustrates a lesson about Christ. Melchizedek was the appearance on earth of the pre-incarnate Christ in a temporary bodily form. 14:20. Abram gave 1/10 of booty to Melchizedek. Even in some pagan religions, it was traditional to give 1/10 of one's earnings to the gods. Abram followed accepted tradition. However, he refused to take on any booty from the king of Sodom. Even though this huge amount would significantly increase what he could have given to God, he chose to reject it for more important reasons. He didn't want the ungodly king of Sodom to say, "I made Abram rich." Instead, Abram wanted him to say, "God made Abram rich." In this case, accepting the gifts would have focused everyone's attention on Abram or the king of Sodom rather than God, the giver of victory. When people look at us, they need to see what God has accomplished in our lives. So that's all I'm going to read today. I'm just going to read. So next time we start up, we will be starting in Genesis 15. I'm only going to I was going to read for a little bit today because I have an Eagles game to watch and family over. So you guys have a blessed Sunday, and I hope you continue this journey with me throughout the Bible, starting in Genesis, and we were getting into the nitty-gritty, not just reading through the Bible, but what each phrase or verse means, or at least most of them, maps, and studying the Bible together. So get your Bible handy, and we will meet next time. Have a good day, guys. Bye.